In 1897, Teddy Roosevelt said he'd welcome almost any war because the country needed one. Why? Because the American frontier was closed, the economy was in a tailspin, and workers were protesting in the streets. The government and big business looked at the map and saw dollar signs in the Pacific and the Caribbean. They told the public we were going to Cuba to free them from Spanish cruelty. But once the smoke from the USS Maine cleared, the mask slipped. We didn't just free Cuba. We made sure we owned their mines and railroads through the Platt Amendment. Then we bought the Philippines for $20 million and spent 3 years fighting a bloody war against the locals who just wanted their own independence. It was a splendid little war for the bankers and the politicians. But for the soldiers on the ground, especially the black regiments facing racism at home and abroad, it was a much darker story. For the average soldier, the real enemy wasn't Spanish bullets. It was the food on their plates. While only 379 men fell in battle, over 5,000 died from disease and what General Nelson Miles called embalmed beef. Big meat packers like Armour and Company saw a chance for profit, selling the Army rotting meat treated with boric acid and formaldehyde. They called it a splendid little war. But for the boys in the camps, it was a carnival of carnage fueled by corporate greed. The Cuban rebels had been fighting for their freedom for years before we arrived. They welcomed us as allies, but the moment Spain surrendered at Santiago, the mask came off. The U.S. General William Shafter refused to let the Cuban leaders even enter the city to sign the surrender. We didn't give Cuba to the Cubans. We kept the old Spanish officials in power and then forced the Platt Amendment into their Constitution, giving the U.S. the keys to their house forever. Then there was the 24th Infantry, black soldiers sent to the Philippines to fight for freedom. But they were fighting a people with brown skin, while back home, their own brothers were being lynched every week. The white troops called the Filipinos the same names they used for blacks in the States. Some black soldiers, like David Fagan, saw the irony and deserted to join the Filipino rebels. They realized that the civilization they were supposed to be spreading looked a lot like the oppression they left behind. So, was it a splendid little war? To the politicians in Washington and the bankers on Wall Street, perhaps it was. They got their markets, their coaling stations, and their global reach. But as we've seen, the view from the bottom was different. It was a war of poisoned rations, betrayed allies, and soldiers fighting for a freedom abroad that they weren't even allowed to have at home. History isn't just about the maps and the treaties. It's about who pays the price for the line of march. This is Papa, the digital ghost, and we're just getting started. I'll see you in the next chapter about the United States we all need to know. If we love our country and want it to be what we dreamed it could be.